Welcome back, everybody. It's the second series of the day. Alliance facing up against Cloud9 in our best of three of Group B. We're going to be doing this, by the way, I think we're going to be doing this every single day. At the same time, we're going to be doing two best of threes with myself and God. So if you guys want to check out the European qualifier, we will be here every single day until this thing is over. If you don't know the format, it is a GSL group stage best of threes. So you get the full series out of the group stage. Top two of both groups advance to the playoffs, where we'll obviously have 4 teams left, and they will play it out in double elimination best of 3. Not sure what the finals is, but either way, that's a long time coming. Gods is here with me as well. Gods, what are you thinking about Alliance versus Cloud9? What are your expectations? Oh, do I have? Maybe I don't have Gods here with me. Oh, Gods, I'm sorry. I must have muted Discord. My bad.
I'm pretty sure I'm talking.
Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like, no, it's all good. I feel like this side of I say this side of the groups, this is the Group B, I guess now we've hopped on over, is a bit more open as far as the second spot goes. Group A feels like the scarier group to be in, but that kind of leaves Group B with Liquid as the favorites, and then NIP, Alliance, Cloud9 all as potential second place finishes to make it to the playoffs. So every match like this one, very important for the two teams. I feel like Cloud9 have been in slightly better form. They're kind of that ad Finimes team where they've been very stable, had the same roster for a long time, kind of on the verge of breaking out, but haven't quite made it just yet. As for Alliance, it's like that. Been the same story since like 2014, rebuilding, some glimmers of hope, but then it doesn't really turn into much, and they rebuild again, and it's kind of that question: is this alliance going to finally work or not?
Yeah, that that does seem to be the eternal question for Alliance, as this team has not had the most successful hope. We have seen the glimmers, though, right? They tied with Team Liquid, they tied with Cloud9 recently, and if they can actually win this series against Cloud9, I think that may put them as the favorite for that second place slot that we're talking about, because we're kind of assuming that Liquid are going to be the front runners given their recent performance. Our draft is going to start off with the first pick, Wisp for Alliance. Cloud9, they had to have known that was going to be a first pick up for Alliance. Wisp is going to be very value for both of these teams, and they're going to couple it with a Tiny. So we're going to have a Tiny Wisp duo for Alliance. It's like way back in 2014 all over again, but Cloud9 do have some pretty good responses to it, both the Earth Spirit and the Disruptor, some nice AoE silences and good control.
Yeah, I feel like the Io Tiny opening is just like a relic of the past, but it is a hero that Limp has continued to play throughout his professional career over the last couple of years, going back to playing with Complexity, where they'd pick up Tiny even without the Wisp, and this Alliance team has picked it up here and there as well, because Limp is just an absolute amazing genius on this hero. He's incredibly talented at it, but the hero with the Io definitely is not picked as much anymore, like with good reason. It doesn't really take objectives well enough. It's kind of very one-dimensional, so we'll have to see whether or not Alliance can make it work or not.
Yeah, it's funny, the last time these two teams faced up against each other, Cloud9 in their second game were willing to ban both the Wisp and the Tiny, simply because of that fear, but apparently willing to give both of those heroes to Alliance in this pickup. We'll see what else they have in store to be able to counter this strategy. But as you said, we're not really, when we say this strategy, we're not really talking about the Wisp Tiny old school Aghanim's like beat things down necessarily. We may be talking about two different things. Wisp may be coupled up with another hero more often. We will have to talk about countering the Tiny, as in the Blink Dagger Tiny that gets that snowball rolling nice and early and goes around and finds those quick kills.
Yeah, it'll be much more about like the map control game. If you can have the vision up, if you can have more control over the map, it's going to be hard for Tiny to use the blink, but vice versa. If Alliance can be the ones with a good early game, push out the lanes, have 3 heroes like playing in the Radiant jungle while Io Tiny farm ults on the map and look for relocates in, or Tiny looks for pickoffs with his blink dagger. That's kind of the general game plan for Alliance. They just need that kind of pickoff hero now to set things up for that Io Tiny, which is what's being banned out. So Batrider Nyx, these scouting jump type heroes that can set up for the relocate, the current bans from Cloud9.
What's kind of interesting is that Underlord is completely untouched. I know Cloud9 has never played it, But I just thought it was interesting because usually Cloud9 are banning it away. But I'm not sure if either one of these teams actually play Underlord ever.
I'm not sure on Alliance, but yeah, I know I'm like you say, Cloud9 don't, and the fact they're not banning it makes me think Alliance at least don't prioritize it very highly.
Yeah, Alliance have never picked it either. They've banned it 13 times, never picked it. So
Interesting.
that's funny. That's an interesting dynamic with just this matchup in particular. Early Viper picked up for Baby Knight. Baby Knight kind of reminds me a little bit of Fada in that he likes those kind of gross mid heroes, you know, the ones that are lane dominators, the ones that just kind of no one wants to match up against early.
Oh yeah, he plays the Vipers, the Snipers. Yes, he played a lot of the OD as well when it was popular. He has a very interesting hero pool. He even played like some like weird like mid Warlocks and stuff, but he's the mid player I always think of where he kind of pioneered the double Wraith Band and double Null build. He goes like double Wraith, double Null on almost like every hero in the mid lane just to try and win the CS battle. Although with that said, last time I saw him play Viper, he went for the Headdress over the second Wraith Band, but he loves to go for the early stats to just be as tanky as possible.
And now we'll have some extra sustain behind him with Cloud9 picking up an off-lane Enigma for Hesta Joe, which I think is very much needed. We need to be able to have some sort of mech or pipe hero. I think that's why Alliance banned away the Darkseer in that 3-4, is because of the fact when you have a Tiny, you need to make sure you get those quick kills. And so far, Cloud9, they drafted really good AoE silences and really good control against the Tiny, and then their 3-4 pickups have just been a lot of tanky sustain that Tiny's going to have a hard time eating through.
Yeah, and in theory, both these heroes will survive a Tiny combo unless Tiny gets really far ahead and Enigma's mech comes up a bit too late or Viper doesn't get a good timing on his Treads Dragonlance. So we'll see Alliance looks to do. This Venge pick is kind of flexible in that it can be a core or a support. We've seen a bit of both here, and we'll see what they look to pair with it in that safe lane. I imagine with the Io Tiny more towards the mid lane, but is a good hero to have against the Enigma, of course, to always be able to cancel the Black Hole. But it's always with Enigma, you're not usually picking the hero because expecting to land like massive multiple hero Black Holes. It's like the threat of the Black Hole as well as having a mech buyer, and always very good against the Io Tiny, since Tiny's a hero that will get up in your face and lead to some good Black Hole opportunities.
Yeah, and this is also going to be a guaranteed, one of the few offlaners right now that has guaranteed farm. And won't really have to worry about what his matchup is. And it is going to be a Keeper of the Light for Alliance. So a little bit more split pushing power, a little bit more defensive team fight power. Keeper of the Light is quite good at being able to defend around those towers. And Cloud9 are surely going to go for a bit of early push with a lineup like this with both Enigma and Viper.
Yeah, they didn't really have any wave clear. I mean, Tiny's combo can clear a wave, but that's something you want to use ideally to burst down a hero at the start of the fight. Tiny's being picked up less for his creep clearing and more for his hero clearing. So Coddle is going to be the tower defender in some ways, with the Enigma Viper 5-man looking a bit potent from Cloud9 as something that Alliance currently don't have the heroes to deal with. LC Ban even suggests that Cloud9 are pretty intent on being able to take down some early towers, gain map control through their ability to push fairly early on.
Yeah, that's, I think, the last remaining offlaner that Alliance have picked up quite a bit. The rest of them have all been banned away, so Alliance kind of slim pickings here.
Yeah. That's a good point. I was thinking, like, what's Jonas here?
I think Centaur's the only one left.
LC. Yeah, it may have to be. And nothing else really stands out as being a good kind of fight initiator. It does work pretty well against the Viper, being able to bypass all the slows that he presents, but otherwise, you're looking like to bring back like the old Tide Hunter or something, but depends how much Alliance prioritize wanting to have like a mech carrier or something for themselves. In theory, that could be the Keeper if you don't want to go for the Ags build.
We'll see. What about Cloud9? They still have their carry left. We're looking at early team fighting power and some lane domination. They should be good to go, I think, for the first 15 minutes of this game. Would you like to see them transition into... okay. I mean, I would have suggested Clockwork, but I did not think it was a strong pickup, but we'll see.
Yeah, for Cloud9, I like the idea, like some kind of pushing hero to go with the Viper. Yeah, Viper doesn't siege necessarily that fast, but the Juggernaut, probably one of the big ones that stands out. Terrorblade would be great because you've got that range advantage, and for Tiny, it's really hard to get in once if you don't get combo the TB. If he gets out of the fight, he's got the Hurricane Pike Sunder. You're getting kited for days. It's really hard to play against Terrorblade as a Tiny. So Jug doesn't kite him as bad, but it still seems decent.
Is Luna still a pushing pair that's in the pool? Now, I think Luna is one of the weaker heroes towards Tiny because of that strong initiation. Are you down with the Luna, though, given the backup that he will have with Viper and Enigma?
It seems still very viable. Like, it's a similar idea to the Terrorblade, just with a bit less range. And perhaps you hit like a bit of an earlier time. You don't have that downtime of like the Metamorphosis. Like, you can still push when Eclipse is on cooldown if your opponents have also their spells on cooldown. And yeah, you're right. It will be the Luna. I think
the only other strong pushing here, because I'm with you on that. I think you're spot on the money of calling a pushing carry here. And the only other one would have been Sven, but Clockwork, I think, counters that enough, right? There's just too many issues for a Sven carry against a Clockwork. Luna has a little bit more freedom.
Yeah, so we'll see how fast Tiny can come online, because he's the hero that's going to have to try and bully the Luna a bit. If you can get a fast Blink Dagger in the first, 12 to 15 minutes of the game, head to wherever Luna's trying to farm and just get a few kills on her. That's going to be key. The one thing with Alliance, I just don't feel like they have that good roaming hero to set up for the IO Tiny relocate this game. And I guess in theory that's meant to be the Clockwork, but this doesn't work as well as like a Nyx Assassin does when he's vendettaing around, or even like the Bat Rider option where you can just use the tree line, smoke up, find a lasso pick. It's a bit less reliable with the hook shot.
Yeah, I look at this and I feel like Alliance definitely have to win big early, and I don't think they're supposed to against this with Viper and Enigma. Like, this is the kind of game where Clockwork's already going to have a hard enough time because he's facing up against a Viper, and I think two controlling supports that are pretty decent versus him as well. He really needs that real good start that turns into like a fast blade mill or something where he can threaten the Luna's life. Otherwise, he's just going to become a one and done initiation. He's going to become that Clockwork that hook shots and cogs, and that's it. That's all you're going to see from him.
Here you go, Alliance. Alliance, perhaps the scariest level 1 team. They always have some shenanigans going on.
And I think Cloud9, whenever they've been on Dire side, they do the exact same thing. They try and get into this area. Nice toss cogs combination, but Ace is going to be able to get away from those cogs pretty quickly. It was a good setup, but now Loda's going to be caught on the backlines here as Noya managed to get a good roll in. They're trying to finish him off and toss forward. Noya's trying lower, but they do manage to get the first blood with Rise picking up the kill on Loda, and Yonosafon may die as well. He pops a Fairy Fire, will manage to get out. Heads to Joe, dealing with these two supports, but a roll onto EGM, nails him, and Alliance had shenanigans up their sleeves, yes, but are immediately shut down by Cloud9 with their positioning. They were well prepared for what Alliance was about to do.
Noya's got another roll, but can't really roll onto the tether escape of the IO. They were well prepared indeed. I mean, I still stand by what I said with Alliance being perhaps the scariest level 1 team to be versing.
Oh, yeah.
Teams are ready. Like, if you're ready for them, and they had 5 heroes protecting the top bounty room, like, that's like a... Very rarely will you see 5 heroes right around that area, but they know Alliance very well. They're ready for them, and they take them down.
Yeah, Alliance was always like the scariest like Roshan team, you know? Like, you always had to be prepared against Alliance in that level 1 category, because you were never sure. Are they smoking and running at us as 5? Are they taking Roche level 1? Are they doing all the, there's so many things you have to fear, but Cloud9, knowing Alliance's reputation, seemed to brought some preparation as such. Hesta Joe's going to have to deal as an offlaner against EGM and Loda, as he feels a little bit of pressure there, but he does have the backup, it seems, of Noya, who's going to be starting up here rather than trying to help out. Meanwhile, bottom, Yonosafon, as the solo offlaner, has to go up against Rise's Disruptor and a Luna. A lot of damage there, but Yonosafon is looking to make it work with his cogs pushing back the enemy.
Yeah, not the easiest lane. Offlane, the Enigma with the level 1 Midnight Pulse makes his time a bit rough. He doesn't have that range creep deny. When you can deny range creeps, you're taking away a ton of XP from the enemy lane, as well as securing yourself some farm by pulling the wave back. So his lane's a bit tougher because of that, but he's hit level 2 now, so should be able to fall back, jungle some camps, although both of his camps by this offlane have been blocked off. So that's what Alliance achieved through that early rotation into that jungle there, but we'll see Noya come in and deward some of this.
A lot of people theory crafted in the beginning with these bounty runes that bottle was going to be super value on heroes that picked up bottle real quickly, like Whis, for example. we're going to see a huge benefit out of this and get picked up quite a bit. And we haven't fully seen that. It's just been very specific to certain teams that the Wisp has been quite strong. Other teams, it's been completely ignored. What do you think about the Wisp? Where do you think his position is in the game?
I mean, for the longest time, I just thought the hero was like getting heavily underpicked on this new patch, just based on, like you mentioned, the bounty runes and just how much mobility, in theory, should be prioritized even more, with there being more jungle camps, more runes on the map. Like, there's just a greater emphasis on like taking control of the map, taking over the enemy jungle. So that's in theory where the relocate becomes even more powerful. But I mean, from the way the things have developed, it just seems like Io's early game, his laning stage, isn't as strong as it used to be, and that's where teams are perhaps punishing Io drafts, where they just draft stronger lanes. There's a lot more contest in the off lane, a lot more like 2-1-2 setups, and that's where Io doesn't do well against like these aggressive dual lanes in the off lane.
Do you think the bounty runes have helped Wisp more than the 2-minute timer on stacking has hurt Wisp?
No, because I think the thing with the bounty runes is it's helped every 4-position hero. If anything, Io, I mean, he sometimes struggled to his level 6, but I think it's helped other 4-position heroes more, because when Io's missing from the map, you're not scared of a gank. The thing is, when there's like a Pudge or a Slatter or something missing, you're worried about when that hero is going to show up. But that hero could just be collecting bounty runes, roaming around, and then when he pops up, it's to get a kill. When Io pops up, it's rarely to get a kill. It's just to, like, you know, pop out and heal up a teammate. That's where I think he needs those stacks to really be justified as like a hero at the moment, which is where he has received pretty big nerfs based on the jungle.
You can see Hanskin's been doing just that, popping out, healing Limp every once in a while when he needs it against Baby Knight's Viper. And does seem to be going pretty well, 22-3 now against the 19-3 of the Vipers. So Limp is one step ahead for now.
Yeah, I mean, Noi is kind of filling the similar role where he's that Earth Spirit, but like that's just where like I feel like Earth Spirit, when he comes out of the fog, can do a lot more. Right now, there's really good dire vision, so they're able to keep pretty good tabs of Noi and know where he is moving on the map. But all in all, it's still a lot more, I think, effective for the most part to run that like 4-position Earth Spirit than the IO. Obviously, Alliance have an idea in mind with the IO Tiny, and they're going to look to capitalize on that.
Limp. He's been playing like he doesn't really know that Noi is there, but as an Invis rune is picked up, he does start backing himself away. And he's waiting for his Wisp to return to him, who had a short little jaunt into the Radiant jungle, helping out Yonosamfan and picking up the enemy bounty rune before bouncing back and picking up the bounty rune of their own on Dire side. Yonosamfan is level 4. Facing up against kind of a bit of a dangerous dual lane, but does seem to be getting the experience necessary. Hesta Joe is actually a lower level, just now picking up his level 4, but is getting a lot more farm, and kind of a given when you're able to spend half your time jungling.
Yeah, he's got his arcane boots now, so he can sustain himself a bit better, and will be getting some good farm now that the lane is pushed out to his tower. Jonas is going kind of aggressive here, getting deep into the Radiant jungle. See what he can find. If anything, he's been scattered up by this Radiant Ward, and this could be the end of him. Without a TP scroll, there's not really a good escape.
Holding on to the glimpse, it looks like he's just going to wait for the kinetic field or not use anything at all and just let his teammates beat up Yonosamfan and keeps all of his mana intact. So there is the third kill of the game after our treacherous first blood, where Alliance started off with quite a bad lead. C9 seemed to be doing pretty well for themselves in the laning phase. The real glimmer of hope does seem to be Limp's performance in mid, where he's picking up so much CS, thanks in large part to Hanskin. Toss back, nicely played. Baby Knight still able to play around this one, it looks like. Half HP. He's going to receive a blast. Maybe he's actually going to die here with the toss and the combination. He does actually go down. So, very nicely played combo there from Limp and the boys. Alliance strike back finally.
Yeah, it feels like the kind of kill they need to get out of this IO Tiny. You don't want Tiny just sitting mid lane getting farm. You want him to get involved early, find some kills, and really start snowballing as early as possible. So anything that can get him towards that Blink Dagger, I imagine, which he's going to be going for, is going to go a long way.
Level 6 now picked up for Loda. We'll see if the Vengeful Spirit's a pretty active carry, I think, for the most part. See if they try and move him around. Where Yonosamfan does have the cogs up, but he should be going down here. I thought maybe in that instant where Cloud9, they've been pressuring this tower so much, maybe they'd rotate this this Vengeful Spirit and Coddle down to the bottom lane, try and punish any over-aggression, but doesn't come out from Alliance, at least not quick enough anyway. Jonas and Fawn does go down.
Yeah, Loda didn't have a TP, and I think the IO,
EGM gets caught.
Player canceled his TP,
Nice read.
That's the
from
problem,
Noya.
like that, you cancel that TP, you know if anyone tries to TP in on that aggression, it's going to be that extended duration TP, so there's not really any good punish available. Clockwork's not level 6, so there's nothing really to be afraid of. They probably even made the call that Loda seeing top doesn't have a TP of his own, so he's just kind of statically farming the lane, which is fine. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Limp wants to farm as well, but the fault kind of lies in just getting caught underneath that tower, perhaps just caught by surprise by the ward. That should be fairly apparent. There's a ward on that cliff by now, but whether or not they've really got the money to de-ward it or not is kind of another issue.
Yeah, that's true. I think I kind of like what the EGM is doing here. I think they're just a little bit slow to do it. I think if they keep back this push a little bit longer, they'll have level 6 on Hanskin, because right now they're clearing through all those stacks. If they have that relocate, these pushes from Ace, where it's very natural because Aluna kind of dominates her lane all the time, and she just naturally wants to be able to get some early tower bounty in as well. You can stop that whole entire early power of the Luna if you could just defend against those couple of early pushes, and then all of a sudden the relocate comes in, and if Cloud9 want to invest into that offlane tower, they're going to have to bring more than just 2 supports behind Luna. They're going to have to bring the Viper in as well.
Yeah, this Luna is going to be definitely killable once Tiny gets like a Blink Dagger up, all the IO relocate comes online, so we'll see how they try and approach protecting her. For now, both carries can be going that Helm of the Dominator build, no big surprises there. And I think for C9, it's really going to be around the mech. That's how they're going to try and keep Luna alive from those early ganks and early pressure. And Hesijo is going to have a very good timing on the mech because he has been getting decent farm in this top lane. He's almost equal with Loda in terms of overall net worth, which is a scary thought.
Yeah, I have the chart right now on the CS, but really that can never reflect Enigma's farm, considering he's going to be playing off of neutrals. Almost 3k net worth right now, and a tower about to drop here as it's going to head into the 9 range with the help of this Helm of Dom creep. They are going to back off based off of the Coddle Blast, and Alliance... Let's see if they try and keep this tower up and fight around it somehow, or if they just go for the deny. Yeah, EGM's just going to take it.
Yeah, baiting around it with a hook shot could have been a decent approach, but looks like they just don't feel quite ready. Loda wants to finish his Helm of the Dominator. Tiny does not have a blink just yet. If Tiny had a blink, you definitely look to fight around the hook shot, but I'd imagine for now it's like, let's finish our blink first. Even an IO level 6 wasn't available, so IO will get that now in the mid lane, and this is where there is some good threat from the Alliance side, so I think ideally for Cloud9, they want to try and be the aggressors because it means you're going to be the ones taking the fight to them and you're not caught out by a relocate. If you're the ones getting a pick to start things off, they've got the smoke on the supports. Even though they're not quite level 6, they ideally want to be the ones kind of not getting caught totally by surprise by Alliance.
Yeah, it's funny how both strategies are very reliant on their level 6s. Disruptor is really not much of a hero to talk about until he has that big AoE controlling aspect of him. Limp is going to be gone on here. Glimpse back. Hanskin's ready to go with the relocate, though, and this really should not be much of a problem. Gets the full heal, back to base, and C9 are not going to stick around and try and punish the relocate back. Limp is already TP back in place.
Yep. There's the full mech 10 minutes in from Enigma. Even gets the regen rune too, so he's had 0 mana to work with, and suddenly he's full mana pull again.
All right, gods, where do we go with this? We've got an early mech. We've got a Viper who's got pretty good farm.
Offlane tower seems like the push with Luna Enigma just need to like push a lane together. I guess in theory you can bring Viper and have the Luna farm alone, but Luna seems like the more hero prone to getting ganked, so
yeah.
They're going to leave leave Luna Viper at the mid lane while the Enigma heads back to the off lane, which is kind of interesting that the 2 pushing carries are off on their own. I feel like this is something Alliance could try and capitalize on.
Well,
they've ganked up Loda, yeah.
Maybe it was a bit of a bait there. Maybe expecting the 2 supports to naturally be behind the important cores, that they end up catching Loda. And with a pickoff like that, maybe this actually gives them a free tower without their cores. I don't know. That's a pretty big Enigma army he's got going on.
Yes. That's one of the great things about the Enigma, when you can just push towers by yourself if left alone, and this tower's at least going to get down fairly low. But Alliance are ready to make a move.
There's the blink reveal
from the cores. There we go, yeah.
Limp already taking down Rise.
They can still fight this Cloud9 if they want to re-engage. They bring an ace.
Yeah, no qualms about showing their cores here either. They are gonna do battle, it seems. 4 versus 5. 10 more seconds till the Disruptor's back up. Limp's gonna try and make his jump in with the help of the Condo Blast, but it's not quite there. Hanskin has the relocate out, so it was kind of a poke, seeing if they could burst down a hero with the help of EGM and his Illuminate Blast, but they didn't quite have the range nor the damage to finish him off.
Io's coming back in, though.
He is going to be able to get the tether out. Try to get the kick. They will also glimpse him back, but the time goes a little off on that one. He just goes back to where he relocated to originally. So it looks like this Tier 1 tower is going to be going down here. Alliance, they got to fight around this next Illuminate Blast. Yonosamfan has the hook. He has the angle, but really it's a hard ass to try and jump into this Viper and Enigma. Yeah. So looks like Alliance are just going to give that up.
Perhaps if the Illuminate hits, you follow it up with a hook shot. It is level 4 Illuminate, would have done a lot of damage, and Tiny combo could have at least killed off one with the mech on cooldown, but with the not landing, you have to give it up. And problem is, every tower is a bit more money going Cloud9's way, and they use this early money so effectively just to tank up, get whatever cost-effective stat items they can get, the Dragon Lancers in particular on both Viper and Luna, make these two heroes very hard to deal with. And that's where, like, you've got 1300 HP on Agi treads on Luna. Similar story with the Viper. He doesn't even have treads. Like these are heroes that can't be comboed down by a Tiny. Same for the Enigma. All 3 frontliners do not die to a Tiny combo. So makes it very hard to defend when you can't burst a hero with Tiny.
Cloud9, they've already got a decent gold lead, and they're about to turn into a whole lot more with the mid tower going to be given up by Alliance. They're going to try and make a trade-off here, take the safe lane tower away from C9, but if C9 want to, they can take this mid and rotate or push from war. We'll have to see what their decision is. Yonosafan missing the hook. Noya sidesteps that one. See if he can get the roll away as well. Blinding Light pushes him back, and it's actually going to be C9 on the offensive here. Nice purge creep, slowed down with the stun comboed up. EGM is going to be left for the fishes here. 7-2 now, 14 minutes in. Cloud9 defend their tower, find a pick-off, and Alliance are going to have to try a whole lot harder when it comes to split pushing to run Cloud9 around, because it seems like they can't contest this 5-man.
Yeah, Alliance's draft doesn't really push all too fast. I mean, we see Limp in the mid lane, the toss damage is a little bit. Loda, with his build, pushes all right. He's actually maxed the Vengeance Aura, but doesn't really compare to what the Luna Enigma can do on the other side. Even the Viper, the much greater pushing hero. It does look like they may be able to get this tier 1 mid tower, but it's going to come at the cost of perhaps a tier 2 bottom and a lot of map control being lost if Alliance let this go.
A blast is going to come in from EGM. They do have the relocate ready to go, so if the other 2 cores of Alliance start rotating down, maybe they could fight, but it looks like the call is that simply these heroes are too strong. Luminate Blast not quite getting the range needed there. And tier 2 tower.
Tiny's used his combo mid, so he's low in mana. Then they're not fighting this one.
Good kick in from Noya. That was I think that was a bit of a blind roll. Maybe he had enough vision, or maybe he just guessed it out.
Did the Satyr scout it out? I think the Satyr got a purge off.
Oh,
maybe?
did it? Oh, okay. Maybe that's how.
Before it died to like a tower shot or something, but still nicely played by Cloud9. Get a tower. They lose a tier 1 mid, so Alliance I think making the best of that situation, but it still isn't looking.
Can he get the hook afterwards? Oh, he needed the hook afterwards. No, maybe with the stun and the relocate, they can still get Rise. He's trying to run himself away. Blink to the wrong direction from Limp, but it doesn't matter too much. Still in range for the Avalanche, and that will be a pickoff, but a small pickoff at that.
Yeah, it doesn't really change all too much. Gives Tiny a bit of gold to get closer towards his Aghanim Scepter, but this may turn into one of those Alliance split push type of games with the Ag Scepter. It doesn't really feel like a game where Tiny can fight into the Cloud9 lineup. He's not going to have much attack speed to begin with, and even with the IO seeing behind him overcharging, a level 1 overcharge currently, Viper Strike is going to limit any kind of right-click damage from Tiny. It still feels like it's going to be all about the Avatos combo until Tiny gets like an item on top of the Aghanim Scepter.
Another tower drops, chipped away slowly but surely. They finally do get that safe lane tower. Yonosamfan also has his Blade Mail, like the choice of the maxed out rockets. A scan does successfully spot out EGM here, but Noya won't be able to get the roll in. Does manage to get the kick, and that'll be enough for Ace to follow up with his nukes. Damage over time. Noya actually gets pushed away, so his drop stone is not enough. The urn, 7 HP. Barely. EGM a little bit closer to that stone. He gets a refresh on that ultimate and that damage over time and a little bit lower HP, and he would have just died to the urn. But on both accounts, he manages to survive.
Yep.
Oh, Loda. He didn't see this TP coming in. He's going to be slowed down enough that this TP in from the Earth Spirit will be enough to find another kill for Cloud9.
That's casualty you don't want to see on the Alliance side. Loda's ability to kind of transition to the late game is going to be key for them, and he gets picked off once more. So
relocate for Hester
top.
Joe.
He's tanky though. He's got a Vanguard.
Yeah, he really is. It does not look like Alliance have enough damage to be able to bring him down the toss up, but now, if anything, it could be Alliance who are in trouble. They had a glimpse ready to go, but didn't actually try anything. Instead, it's going to be a glimpse back into mid lane, where they're going to be caught by Ace with his Eclipse ready to go. Looks like they managed to pick up one. There's the glimpse back, and they'll be able to get Limp as well. So Cloud9, a very clear and just well-executed strategy by them to be able to counter this tiny Wisp and any attempts at split pushing by Alliance. They have now got their full death ball ready to go, and I'm not sure if Alliance have much to stop them.
It's where I kind of feel like the Tiny is that one-dimensional hero. Like, you've got to be able to burst people down and snowball, or you just... The hero doesn't do what it used to do, which is like just transition to the late game. You get kited too easily. It just isn't like that scary carry. You've got to get kills using that blink build, and while you draft these tanky cores, outside of maybe the Luna, perhaps the slightly squishier of the three, but Ace free farms this lane. He gets the early treads Dragonlance with a wand, and then he's tanky enough that he can survive through most things. So they've dealt with the Tiny well. We're seeing just 3 kills for the Alliance side at 18 minutes, which is not really what they're hoping for when they draft into this Tiny.
Crimson Guards. It's going to be coming in soon.
Yes.
Have to wonder if he gets a pipe after that. How do Alliance... Oh, nice toss back there. Good positioning. That'll be an instant blow up onto Noya, but Limp is still going to be caught. They need to relocate out. They will get it. Oh, the glimpse. It was actually almost perfectly timed to be able to still pull Limp back, but instead the relocate perseveres. Now Loda mans up against Baby Knight and Ace. Doesn't really have too many options. Does get a jump in from Limp that combos in, but they don't really bring anybody low enough. Now the Static Storm laid out. Yonosafan trying to find his way towards Ace, who's now burnt out of mana. Yonosafan, though, is probably going to be caught here. He doesn't really have anywhere to go. Nice blinding light pushback, and Alliance are actually fighting this out pretty respectively. They've already taken one. Now the jump back in from Yonosafan. They get the kinetic field out, though, and that'll prevent a lot of that aggression. Alliance... It looks like they're just a bit too low. Baby Knight's going to be hitting so damn hard with this Nether Toxin. They're chased away once again. They're trying desperately to make this clutch in and out play blink out, but a glimpse right back in, and Limp is the one who's caught. When you're trying to play this back and forth game with a Disruptor, you've got to play it perfectly, or you're always going to lose that extra one.
I mean, they did that without having ultis, really. Like, they didn't have the Eclipses on cooldown, and Enigma burned through too much of his mana, got hit by a cog, so there wasn't any black hole. He tried to get the black hole on the IO relocate out. If you'd cancel that, it would have been really nice, but even with a fight that doesn't go as well as C9 would have hoped, they still come out on top. They kill the Tiny, they get the tower, and strategically, this is like all they were really needed out of that group up at top. It kept Alliance busy. They're not split pushing. Alliance aren't really farming or posing much of a threat to scale into the late game, and that's all the tier 2s already, so now the Shrines are going to start getting focused down as well.
Shrines by 20 minutes.
Yeah. I thought the Enigma would go for the pipe after the mech. I was a little surprised by the Crimson Guard pickup, but this makes the Enigma himself tankier with the Vitality booster plus 250 HP. But it did feel like the pipe against the Keeper would have been, in my mind, like the more logical idea. I'm not sure what Hester Joe's thinking going for this, but obviously there's some good reason for it.
Loda, I was talking about Vengeful Spirit the other day, and I said it's the best Aghanim Scepter that never gets built. And I think in some ways correctly, right? Core Vengeful Spirit can't really go for an attempt here to kill EGM. Looks like they'll catch him. The Glimpse back will stop that TP, and he'll be left for Baby Knight to finish off. But yeah, it looks like Loda's going to be trying to go for the Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah, it seems like one of those items where you get it on core Venges when you're having a rough game, because it's like, well, I'm going to have to just die for my mid carry to carry the game for me. Like, I've seen the few games I've seen, it seems to be for these core Venges that struggle.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where Loda is right now. Although he is still the most farm core in his team, but it does feel like he's going to have to create some space for Limp in these fights.
That'll be a Roshan going the way of Cloud9. Much like most of this game for Alliance, they have the information, they know what's going on, but they can't really do anything to stop it. As we see Rocket Flare after Rocket Flare heading into the Roshan pit, but Cloud9 eventually do take that Aegis uncontested.
Yeah, they get some damage done towards his bottom lane, but Baby Knight's already back defending it. Working on the Manta style, so he's getting nice and tanky now. And that's really all they have to do on these cores, is just get as much survivability as possible. Loda's actually been scattered by a ward here. He needs to get out as soon as possible. Doesn't look like he realizes there's all these heroes coming his way.
Loda silenced up. Blast comes through, trying to give him a little bit of extra help here, but now with that damage over time, refreshed up, rises here as well, so even if Loda could get away, there'd still be a glimpse to pull him right back in. 14-4, 22 minutes in, Cloud9 holding almost a 7,500 gold lead. Not too big of an experience lead as would be expected. They are 5-man deathballing for the most part. Alliance are just kind of pecking at the edges of the screen, split pushing and getting a little bit more experience into their coffers.
Yeah, they've done a good job. I mean, the fact they've taken down that tier 2 bottom tower and threatened to like force Cloud9 back to the high ground has definitely helped buy them some time and keep them at least in a position where this game isn't entirely lost. Like, all it's going to take is one good high ground defense if Cloud9 get a bit too over aggressive, like going for it, to get them right back in this game. But again, you're very reliant on Cloud9 getting a bit too ahead of themselves and aggressive. And with an Aegis on Luna, they can slow siege this, and once that tier 3 tower goes down, then the bouncing glaives around the base become an absolute nightmare to deal with.
Cloud9, it's one of those games, you know, where you're like so far ahead, your death ball works so well that you reach this point where you're like, well, we can't actually, we've done all the objectives so early, there's not much left to do but kind of farm and wait for a better opportunity to go high ground. Limp may be caught here. The relocate is perfectly timed, so Hanskin probably just gave up his life to save Limp.
Is unfortunate, but yep. There's a creep wave, but no escape. Yeah, and they just don't seem to be farmed enough yet to break high ground. Like, you look at Luna and you think, like, high ground push. Do you really want to go at 24 minutes with just like a Manta Dragonlance? You're normally thinking like maybe either the BKB or the Butterfly on top of this. You haven't got like a Shadow Demon to just like spam illusions at the enemy high ground. So I think realistically, Cloud9's kind of thinking like, we've pushed down all these outer towers. We have good map control. We can keep finding pickoffs as we are. Like, are we really worried about this going late? Can Tiny actually carry this late game against Viper Strike? I don't really feel like it's going to be that easy for Limp to scale against Viper at all this game. So
yeah, I kind of doubt it.
I feel pretty confident.
It's I mean, even just the magic damage is going to threaten Limp quite a bit. When you've got Eclipse and Viper with this Viper Strike, that by itself is going to be hard enough, and then you're going to have both these cores probably scaling into physical damage pretty well. But
Baby Knight's working on a Manta, close to completing it now. He went back for a Boots of Travel, I think, recognizing that Alliance's only way to play this game right now is through split push, so just wants to have that global mobility to help deal with it a little bit better.
Yeah, he's even picking up a Manta, which will probably not fully the intention, but will help out split push lanes when he doesn't need to be there. But they are going to try and go on Baby Knight here with Loda, Neono Samfan, and a relocate, I'm sure, as they need every bit of help they can get to be able to kill this tanky core of Cloud9.
He sees the Centaur.
Spotted, gets hit by the hook. They are going to be able to bounce him back. They are not actually having the quick reaction there. Limp is finally here. They will get the damage out into Baby Knight, but he force stabs himself deeper into the trees. Hanskin dropping lower and lower. He needs to be able to stay alive for the relocate out. Now it's Alliance stuck inside the trees with a static storm on top of everything else. And Baby Knight survives. Triple kill for him off of that one, killing all three of the heroes that look to claim his life.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, probably at this point, the most recognized change in the way Dota is played is the shrines. And that's, like, one of those perfect examples, not just from the healing point of view, but as far as map control goes, as a TP access point. 3 heroes TP to that shrine and are able to get there in time to help Baby Knight out. Without that shrine there, he is 100% dead. There's nothing that can be done to save him. Yeah, he survives a long time with his build and his tankiness, but he's not going to survive everything. But able to get there in time and keep him alive, and suddenly Alliance are in all sorts of trouble.
Nice blink forward there from Noya. Even if he misses the stun, he allows the glimpse to be able to find the kill instead. Baby Knight looks to be able to kill Hanskin. Already a buyback in from EGM. Cloud9, they weren't really sure about going high ground so early before, but with 2 pickoffs like that, and last remaining seconds of the Aegis, now that it's gone though, a swap back, a toss back deeper. Baby Knight may be deep, tanky, but can he actually survive being all the way back in the tier 4 area? He's already gotten back to the tier 3s with the help of his team. They're going to try and focus down Loda, while Ace, he's just focusing on objectives at this point. Loda does get tossed back nicely by Limp to save his life, but it will not save the objectives. The melee Rax is quick to fall here, and Alliance are going to have to strike again. Fortunately, they're not reliant on any big cooldowns, but they can't actually get into the fight in time. Melee Rax goes down, Cloud9 get themselves out without getting caught.
Yep. No losses, and it's one of those things where Alliance, it feels like the net worth on Tiny, on Venge, it feels like they're keeping up well enough, but it doesn't really feel like they're getting the kind of items or transitioning to a point where they're ever going to be able to fight into what's coming at them. Like, talked about the Viper, the Luna's going to have a Butterfly soon as well. The Enigma is just this really tanky frontliner who helps keep everyone alive, kind of playing that DAC CRS role where you can win your team a team fight through a big ultimate, but at the same time, you're mostly just there for the sustain and having all these team fight items. And as a result, Alliance are kind of running out of options here. And Cloud9 just get scarier and scarier as they pick up more items in this game.
Ace is very close to that Butterfly. Cloud9 can wait on that, as well as second Aegis. Alliance are the ones forced to try and make something happen in this sort of dead zone window, where Cloud9 don't feel comfortable pushing high ground without an extra life and without some of these big ticket items. But you can also see the inevitable end of the game that's going to be happening if Alliance only sit back and split push during this time. So we'll see what they
split pushing
concoct
right
up.
now. Like,
yeah,
you're not even getting any farm right now. You've got no heroes farming any lane. The only lane you're farming is mid lane with a keeper. Now Tiny finally pops out bottom lane to clear one wave and then blinks out, but they're getting very little farm. They're not using any of the jungle. They're hardly using the lanes to farm. Meanwhile, Cloud9 are pushing out, farming most of the lanes. They're getting the enemy jungle. They're getting all the bounty runes. They're getting a lot more out of the map and just getting further ahead without even having to find a kill.
You know, I thought the way that they lacked vision on the side of Alliance, I thought maybe a gem had already been picked up on Cloud9, because you see the map's just completely dark, but they just haven't had the opportunity to be able to push out and get any wards down. Yonosafon's going to be able to find one onto Rise or not. Glimmer Cape and a Force Staff save from Baby Knight, so I thought maybe, you know, like, oh, Rise runs into that hero, has to trade his life for an offlaner, but not even that much happens. He still gets away, and Cloud9, time for that range Rax? Or maybe a little bit more. They're going to go for the tier 3 push at top.
Joe's just like, oh, I can get this by myself, but yeah, once this tier 3 tops down, this base is going to crumble, and there's no split push threat at bottom lane. The creep wave is just too far away.
Yeah. Now the bouncing glaives have begun to peck away at not just the range of melee racks, but also some of the backline heroes as well. Force Staff forward. Baby Knight gets out of position there of the swap attempted by Loda. He's going to be forced to turn and fight, though, as the kinetic field blocks his retreat. Back away, Baby Knight. Oh, nice black hole. Hester Joe finally comes in with a big one, and the relocate out. Not going to be quick enough there from Hanskin, so the GG is called. Alliance, they saw the end of this game coming, and they tried to form one last hurrah, but I think a lot of this we can say, Gods, you think it comes down to draft?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to draft. I mean, Alliance had a draft which is very hard to execute. Like, that level 1 smoke play is a key, like, that's part of their draft. Like, they need that level 1 smoke 5-man move to work for their draft to, like, I feel like that's, like, if that doesn't work, their draft is, like, already far behind, because they want to find the early kills. They want to win the laning stage to get that fast blink so they can just start going around getting kills, but it backfired, giving Cloud9 2 kills. I think from that point, like, already the game is, like, 80-20 in Cloud9's favor. It's just a very much like a snowball or die kind of draft from Alliance, and Cloud9 saw everything coming.
Yep, so Cloud9 already one game up in this best of 3 series, but recently when these two teams did match up against each other in Star Ladder, they did tie 1-1. So maybe Alliance can still make it a 1-1 and force into the first game 3 in this DAC European qualifiers. We'll be back after a short break.